Pulse chain.
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 Now, there's been a flurry of activity in the Richard Hart court case versus the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is the court listener document that we've seen before, which details all the different changes and new positions. And if we go right down to the bottom, you can see that was the last entry in May, and since then we have got all of these entries here for August 22 and all the way to August 23. And that starts with the motion to dismiss Securities and Exchange Commission's complaint by Richard. The memorandum, affidavit stroke declaration, and you can see there's a couple of PDF files here to download. We're not going to download those because Richard himself has provided links to those, so we can take a quick look at those. We've got various exhibits here, and a letter addressed as the final entry. So this is the position now in the court case with all those entries there. Now, Richard Hart has been posting about this, and he's made a series of posts. This was the first one, where he says, before midnight ET, you'll be able to download my reply memorandum of law in support of Richard Hart's motion to dismiss. It will also be filed with the court. The PDF is 35 pages. That's the first one. Then he's got 11 of my lawyers and I are fighting for your rights. We are defending open source software and especially open source blockchain publishing software from the SEC's attacks. The SEC sued the PulseX, Hex, and PulseChain publishing software, naming the software as defendants. Suing code is like suing an idea. The briefing in support of the motion to dismiss has now been submitted to the court and is on public record. Next up, oral arguments on October the 24th. So there's a date to log. Code is speech. Blockchains are speech. Speech is protected human right. Freedom of movement and assembly are also protected human rights. If you publish your belief in these ideals publicly, you should not be punished, nor should any free digital recognition you receive. May the Honourable Court protect your rights from the unelected bureaucrats that seek to harm you. Free speech isn't free if you need to beg permission first. Right. I'm not sure what that is. That's probably the same link to this. Is that there? That's a different one. So this is the first document here. We'll look at that in a second. He says you might also like motion to dismiss served on the SEC in April, filed with the court today. So that's additional reports. We'll look at the main two, which is this one here and this one. Kazakh don't make it obvious. Here is the link to end of the first post again. If the posts don't make it obvious, a standalone post will be made. Right, so it's also made the standalone post, which is here, and this is the timeline. The complaint made on that date there, then this year, motion to dismiss today, and his reply, the motion to dismiss and his reply, which means two big new public documents available. And if we look at the first one here, now this document is 186 pages long, so we'll just have a brief skim through this, and the second one here is 45 pages long. We'll also briefly skim through that. It's far too long to go into detail with this one. So this one says a declaration in support of Richard Hart's motion to dismiss. There's the case information there. This is some of the statements from the lawyers, and he basically, Exhibit A is one of his videos from or there's 3 videos here. I think 2 are from the channel and one's from another channel. We'll take a look at which ones they are. The first one I think relates to this interview. This is Altcoin Sarah and Richard Hart in Malta having a conversation. So they're taking some of the content from that one, and the second one is this long 7-hour live stream that Richard did 4 years ago now. So they're taking information out of that stream as well. So these are the exhibits he's using. So if we scroll down, what else we got? We've got exhibits E, F, and G, which are the Hex website, Pulse Chain website, and the PulseX website. I declare under penalty of perjury that foregoing is true and correct, executed on this day. Right, so Exhibit A basically goes through this transcript of this interview here. So he's going through a lot of detail. This is just basic intros with Allcoin Sarah. His YouTube channel information, so that's not that important. But then he starts to go into detail of, so he's talking about CDs and how CDs work. So he's relating that to Hex. And then he's talking about Ponzi schemes, bubbles, pyramids, etc. And then this massive amount of text, as I say, this one's 186 pages, goes into the actual workings of Hex. So he goes into real detail of what Hex is, giving other examples of EOS and Ethereum, etc. So as I say, this goes on and on and on and on. Let's see if we can scroll to the bottom of this. That's the first exhibit. Then B, this is another YouTube stream, live stream. I think this is the 7-hour one. So again, he's going through all the stuff he said. So this is what he's been up to. He's probably had to document every single word that was in a 7-hour stream, if you can imagine that. And then there's one more. And then at the end, it's going through the websites. So that's a 186-page document. This is the 7-hour stream, so he's gone through that. And then this final part here is the reply memorandum of law in support for the defendant, Richard Hart's motion to dismiss. And this basically sets out various points here. The court lacks personal jurisdiction, alleged Hex offering, has failed to adequately plead the existence of domestic purchase. So these are parts of the motion to dismiss. And then it goes through all of this, and there's pages and pages of case law here. If you look at this. This must be just like a full-time job doing all of this, putting this together. Even if he's got the team of lawyers, he's going to be working around the clock. This is probably why he's been missing. So here's a preliminary statement. Maybe that's something we could go through quickly. That's not too long, I don't think. Yeah, we'll just go through that. That's like a couple of pages. So, defendant Richard Hart's motion to dismiss lays bare numerous glaring legal deficiencies in plaintiff's Securities and Exchange Commission's slapdash complaint, a pleading consistent with the SEC's ongoing haphazard campaign to punish people who create or interact with blockchain technologies. At the apex of these improper efforts is the current attempt to muzzle Mr. Hart using a narrative riddled with factual inaccuracies, cherry-picked statements and misguided legal theories, tacitly admitting its inability to defeat Mr. Hart's arguments for dismissal. The SEC now lobs in new putative evidence, should that be punitive? Evidence twists in its timelines to suggest that alleged offerings were promoted long and after they had concluded. Peppers its opposition to Mr. Hart's motion with unpled, unsupported allusions to non-existent US connections and conjures up new allegations found nowhere in the complaint. None of this can salvage the SEC's complaint, which should be dismissed with prejudice in its entirety. Wow, so that's a statement. First, the SEC says almost nothing to rectify the complaint's jurisdiction's shortcomings, and instead admits the complaint's inefficiencies by resorting to new purported evidence. But the SEC's 11th hour facts still fail because they either post-date or the alleged offerings at issue bear no relevance to the jurisdictional inquiry, or both. Right, so that's some of the statement there. So what I'll do is I'll either put links to this, or you can go here to Richard Hart's post, and you can read these. These are pretty huge documents. We'll keep this video as is to this length now. It's already getting a bit long. So that's the latest state of affairs. The next date is probably October the 24th. So we'll do an update at that time. But yeah, his documents have been submitted. This is the motion to dismiss submitted by Richard Hart.